Dan, thank you. Happening today, the body of a fallen hero, Air Force Staff Sergeant Jacob Gallagher, will return home. The Pittsfield native was one of 8 airmen killed in an Osprey crash off the coast of Japan. And today, the Western Mass community will come together to pay their respects.
And Western Mass News reporter Matt Price live outside the Westover Air Reserve Base in Chicopee with more details on Gallagher's return to the United States. Matt?
David and Amanda, today is expected to be an emotional one, as many will be saluting a hero who passed away too soon and at a young age. Staff Sergeant Jacob Gallagher was a 24-year-old in the Air Force who was one of 8 crew members killed last month in a helicopter crash during a training mission off the coast of Japan. Gallagher leaving behind his wife and 2 young sons. This afternoon, the Pittsfield native will be returning to Westover Air Force Base and be welcomed home by Governor Maura Healey, Congressman Richard Neal, military members, and loved ones. Gallagher's family sharing a statement with Western Mass News that reads, "Jacob was the light of our lives, and we want him to be honored and remembered the way those who loved him will remember him, as a smiling, happy, loving man, always willing to put family, friends, and teammates above all. We are heartbroken at his loss, but determined to ensure his young sons and our entire community never forget the deep, lasting impact of Jake's life. We ask for your prayers and privacy as we work through the difficult days ahead." Now, we want to recap how today's sequence of events will occur. Gallagher's body is expected to arrive at Westover at 3:15. From there, a procession of authorized personnel and invited guests will follow a route requested by his family. Here is that route. According to Pittsfield Police, the procession will start on the Mass Pike to downtown Lee, then go through downtown Lenox via Walker Street, continuing to Pittsfield on Route 7 via South Street to Park Square. They will then turn left onto West Street to Taconic High School, where Gallagher graduated in 2017 and was a star on the football field. The procession will return to North Street and end at Dairy Funeral Home on Branford Street, where the family will have private time. Police say people can pay their respects along the procession route starting at 5:15 in Lee and 5:45 in Pittsfield. Nevertheless, many will be saying goodbye to a local hero today. Reporting live in Chicopee, Matt Price, Western Mass News.